Welcome to Mind Set in Stone podcasts, where we dive deep into the most compelling books on the shelf. Join hosts Dave and Poppy as they uncover the stories, themes, and ideas that shape our understanding and inspire curiosity. Get ready to explore the big ideas that leave a lasting impact. Let's get started.
Okay, ready for another deep dive. This time we're tackling Mind Over Weight by Dr. Ian K. Smith.
Yeah, looks like we're really getting into the psychology of weight loss with this one.
No magic pills this time, just serious brain power, right?
Exactly. Dr. Smith's premise is that traditional methods often fail because they kind of forget about the most powerful tool we have.
Our minds.
You got it. He says it's like, building a house on sand, trying to start a program without the right mindset.
And he jumps right into it, doesn't he? I mean, he doesn't even let you open the refrigerator before he's asking, are you really ready?
Right. That's where the Eureka scale comes in.
The what?
The University of Rhode Island Change Assessment Scale. It's like this questionnaire to help you figure out where you are on the readiness spectrum. Are you just thinking about changing, or are you actually maintaining a new lifestyle already?
Oh, I see. So that time I swore I'd give up sugar.
But you ended up knee deep in a pint of ice cream by Tuesday.
Hey, no judgment.
Yeah.
But that's a perfect example, right?
Yeah.
I clearly wasn't in the action stage yet.
Exactly. But Dr. Smith, he doesn't just leave you hanging with a self-assessment. He dives into motivation, too.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about that. I was skimming that section earlier.
Well, he talks about these two types of motivation, intrinsic and, extrinsic.
Intrinsic and extrinsic. Okay, I'm with you.
So intrinsic is like the motivation that comes from within. You're doing something because you genuinely enjoy it, or it aligns with your values.
Makes sense.
And extrinsic.
But that's more about external rewards or pressures, like wanting to fit into a certain outfit for a wedding or avoiding your doctor's lecture.
Okay, so what's wrong with a little external pressure? Don't we all need a deadline sometimes to get motivated?
Sure. But Dr. Smith's point is that if we rely too heavily on those external factors, it can actually backfire in the long run.
How so?
He calls it the over-justification effect. Basically, when we focus too much on the external reward, the inherent enjoyment of the activity kind of diminishes. Give me an example. I'm not quite picturing it.
Okay, so imagine you love to paint, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's totally your passion. You lose yourself in it for hours.
Okay, I can see that.
Then let's say you start selling your paintings, and suddenly it becomes about the money.
Ah, I get it. So the external reward, the money, kind of overshadows the initial joy of painting itself.
Exactly. You might even find yourself painting less because that initial spark, that internal drive, is gone.
Oh, wow, that's a really good point. I've never thought about it like that before. It's like when you were a kid and your parents had to bribe you to clean your room.
Right.
You never really cared about having a clean room. You just wanted the reward.
Exactly. And that's what Dr. Smith is getting at here. For lasting weight loss, he says you need that internal drive, that intrinsic motivation.
Finding a reason to get healthy that truly resonates with you.
Yes. It can't just be about fitting into a smaller size. It has to be about something deeper. Your health, your well-being, your confidence.
So how do we tap into that? How do we cultivate that intrinsic motivation, especially when it comes to something as challenging as weight loss?
Well, that's where Dr. Smith's very smart goals system comes in.
Very smart goals. Okay, you've piqued my interest.
It's not just about setting any goals, it's about setting the right goals.
So it's all about finding those goals that light your fire, right?
Yeah.
But what about cravings? I mean, we're only human, right?
So, absolutely. Dr. Smith doesn't shy away from that at all. In fact, he has a whole chapter on conquering cravings.
Does he have any, magic tricks? Because trust me, I've tried them all.
Well, no magic tricks, but he does delve into the science behind cravings. Did you know there's actually a hormone called ghrelin? They call it the hunger hormone.
Ghrelin. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so when your stomach's empty, ghrelin levels go up, and it sends signals to your brain, basically telling you to eat.
So it's not just me being weak-willed. It's like a biological imperative.
Exactly. And Dr. Smith's point is that when you understand these processes, you can start to manage them more effectively. He talks about mindful eating.
Oh, right, like paying attention to what you're eating, really savoring it.
Exactly. It helps you tune into your body's cues, so you're eating when you're actually hungry and stopping when you're full.
That makes sense. I know I'm guilty of just, shoveling food in my mouth sometimes, especially when I'm stressed.
Oh, and speaking of stress, that's another thing Dr. Smith talks about. Stress can actually trigger those cravings for, the not-so-healthy foods.
Tell me about it. Chocolate, chips, anything salty or sweet That's my go-to when I'm feeling overwhelmed.
Right. So managing stress is key. He also talks about staying hydrated.
Because sometimes you're just thirsty, not actually hungry.
Exactly. He even suggests brewing a cup of herbal tea as a way to kind of redirect that craving impulse.
You know, I have tried that before, and it actually works. Sometimes just the act of, like, making the tea and sipping something warm.
Yeah, it's like a little ritual.
Exactly. Kind of takes your mind off of whatever you are craving. But let's be real. Sometimes those internal strategies aren't enough. What about our environment? Like, how do we resist those temptations lurking in every corner?
Oh, Dr. Smith's got you covered there, too. He's a big believer in shaping your environment to support your goals.
So it's like out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly. He talks about cleaning out your pantry, getting rid of those tempting snacks, and avoiding those, like, vending machine runs at work.
Oh, the vending machine is my nemesis.
Right. But it's not just about food either. He also talks about creating what he calls a movement environment.
A movement environment. Okay, what's that?
It's like instead of just focusing on, those hour-long gym sessions, he wants you to find ways to sprinkle movement throughout your day.
I like the sound of that. I am so not a gym person.
Right. So it could be things like, parking farther away from the store, taking the stairs instead of the elevator.
Walking during your lunch break.
Exactly.
Oh.
All those little things can really add up.
It's about making the healthy choice the easy choice.
Right. Exactly. But, even with the best intentions and a perfectly prepped pantry, we all have those moments of self-doubt. And Dr. Smith doesn't shy away from that either.
Yeah, he talks about that, right? Building unshakable confidence. I remember that section.
Absolutely. He stresses the importance of celebrating those non-scale victories. It's not just about the number on the scale. It's about all the other positive changes you're making.
Oh, I love that. Because sometimes, let's be honest, the scale can be our worst enemy.
Tell me about it. But it's about recognizing those other wins, right? Like choosing a piece of fruit over a donut or, nailing a workout.
Or just making it through a stressful day without emotional eating.
Exactly. Those are all victories worth celebrating.
It's like he's saying give yourself some credit. Because we can be so hard on ourselves.
Absolutely. It's about shifting that mindset from self-criticism to self-compassion, which, let's be honest, can be game-changing in the weight loss journey. And it all ties into his broader message of developing a healthier relationship with food, wouldn't you say?
Totally. He talks about that a lot, right? Like, it's not about dieting. It's about making peace with food.
Exactly. He wants you to enjoy food, not fear it. He dives into emotional eating, understanding why we sometimes turn to food for comfort or stress relief.
Oh, I know that all too well.
Right. And he encourages us to, explore those underlying emotional triggers. He asks those tough questions.
Like, are you really hungry or are you just bored?
Or lonely or stressed or...
Exactly. It's about becoming more aware of those patterns.
Precisely. And once you're aware of them, you can start to make different choices.
It's like he's saying, before you grab that bag of chips, take a minute, check in with yourself.
Right. What's really going on here?
Exactly. And this is where I think Dr. Smith's approach is so refreshing. It's not just about, calories and willpower. It's about really understanding the deeper issues.
He even talks about food addiction,
Which is huge because that's something that's often misunderstood, stigmatized even.
For sure. But he handles it with such sensitivity. He explains the science behind it,
Right.
How it affects the brain, the reward system.
It's like any other addiction, in a way.
Exactly. And it's not about, you have no willpower or anything like that.
It's a real thing.
Yeah. It's a biological, psychological, environmental. There are so many factors.
And while he's clear that there are no easy answers,
right.
He does offer strategies for managing it.
Well, absolutely. Therapy, support groups, developing a more mindful approach to eating.
It all comes back to that self-awareness.
It really does. And I think that's what's so powerful about Mind Over Weight overall. It's not just another diet book.
Not at all.
It's about lasting transformation.
Shifting your mindset. It's funny because the title is Mind Over Weight.
Yeah.
It really is about that.
Totally.
Using your mind to create change.
Exactly. And not just focusing on the number on the scale.
Right.
It's about your health, your well-being, your whole life.
It's about becoming the best version of yourself, right?
Absolutely.
Inside and out. Now, one thing Dr. Smith doesn't really touch on is the role of genetics in all of this.
That's interesting.
Makes you wonder, right? How much of our weight is predetermined? How much control do we really have?
It's the age-old question, isn't it? Nature versus nurture.
Exactly.
And I don't think there's an easy answer.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something to think about.
It is. Well, on that note, we'll leave our listeners with that food for thought.
Ha! Food for thought. I see what you did there.
See you next time for another deep dive.
We hope you're leaving with fresh insights and a spark of inspiration. Remember to subscribe, leave a review, and check back for more episodes as we dive into new worlds of thought, one book at a time. Until then, keep your mind set in stone and your curiosity open. This has been a Big L Riz Media podcast, where big ideas meet lasting impressions.